Every man, woman, and child alive on Earth today knows that Iowa is the only state in the United States whose eastern and western borders are composed entirely of rivers. Duh. The Big Sioux and Missouri River in the west and the mighty Mississippi in the east, meaning that it is completely impossible to cross from Iowa into Wisconsin, Illinois, South Dakota, or Nebraska by land without taking a bridge across one of these major rivers. Except I just did. So what gives? Well, let's talk about rivers. So how could one of the most famous facts about Iowa, its position between two rivers, be so blatantly wrong? Well, it all has to do with one tiny town called Carter Lake, a 4,000 person suburb of Omaha, Nebraska, awkwardly wedged between the city and its airport, right on the banks of North America's longest waterway, the Missouri River. This is the only part of Iowa that's west of the Missouri River and the one thorn in Iowa's river claim to fame. But it didn't used to be. You see, when Iowa gained statehood back in 1846, back when everything to its west was still unorganized Louisiana Purchase land, its borders were set to be exactly the Big Sioux and Missouri River with no exceptions. Back then, it was true that you couldn't cross into the state without crossing a river because there was no Carter Lake. And I don't just mean there was no awkward exclave of a town called Carter Lake, I mean that the lake the town is named after didn't exist. There was no Carter Lake. This is where the problem with river borders come in, is that rivers move, especially wide, shallow ones like those in the Great Plains. And just 30 years after statehood in 1877, a series of floods permanently changed the channel of the Missouri River, cutting off this bend to create the Oxbow Lake we now call Carter Lake, as well as numerous other border irregularities. Irregularities that Iowa and Nebraska fought over for the next 15 years, all the way up until 1892 when the Supreme Court stepped in to tell both sides that the border had changed. It now followed the center of the new Missouri River, with one exception: Carter Lake, which would stay with Iowa. And for a long time, Carter Lake's new isolated location, far away from most Iowa police, made it a hub for legally dubious activities such as gambling, with one 1930s source calling it the best casino destination between Chicago and Las Vegas. Nowadays, Carter Lake is, for all intents and purposes, part of Omaha. There's no way for people there to get to the rest of their own state without going through Nebraska. And yet the residents pay Iowa taxes, the lake is restocked by the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, and high school students there have to go all the way around to Council Bluffs every day for school. And this is not the only time that a rivers movement has created border issues. Far from it. There are hundreds of exclaves and awkward peninsulas all around the world whose ownership has had to be reassessed thanks to the movement of rivers. On the border of Mexico and Texas, for instance, over the years, thousands of people have had their country changed because of the natural movement of the Rio Grande. I think Carter Lake is the funniest example, though, because it single-handedly nullifies one of the only interesting facts about Iowa, otherwise one of America's most boring states. Sorry, Iowans. If you're from here, let me know what it's like, and everybody else let me know where you think we should go next. Thanks so much for watching. Follow for more.